What's up, my alphas? Welcome to Leading the Pack. I'm your host, Dom Clegg, a mental performance coach and college football coach dedicated to helping you turn your mindset into your ultimate weapon and help you become the alpha of your life. Now it's time to level up and lead this pack. Now let's go attack this work together. Today is a special one. It's a personal one. I have Danielle on here with me. Danielle Bongiorno, if you want to know for sure. But Danielle, I call her D Money. So I'm not used to even calling her Danielle. She's D Money to me. But Danielle is a speaker, author, and coach who helps people embrace their courage and create lives of authenticity and purpose. Whether sharing her heart on the page or on stage, Danielle brings a rare ability to connect deeply, challenge gently, and call people into their fullest potential. Drawing on her own expertise and experience and life lessons, Danielle's message centers on authenticity, like I said, identity, and personal transformation, as well as aligning a purpose-driven life. Her debut book, Take a Leap, drops this month. We're super excited about it, so we'll dive into that. But it's a way that she can continue her mission of just diving and pouring into people to help them become their very best self, being very intentional about it, being vulnerable in this book, and then also telling the truth. Danielle and I first met years ago at Ultimate Training Camp, which is an experience that laid the foundation for a grounded, purpose-fueled performance for both of us. So this is a very much a full circle moment. Thank you so much, D Money, for being on here with me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I love that nickname has stayed alive through all these years. So when you texted me and we connected about this, I was like, oh, yeah, there it is. There's that nickname. So yeah, it's so good to be here. I'm grateful to be, just connecting with your audience and sharing a little today.
Absolutely, yeah. And my phone is still D Money. Like if I put Danielle, it figures it out, but like it's D
Yeah,
Money in there. It's
it just
never going to
doesn't
change.
feel right, huh? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you get it.
So I want to take us back actually to Ultimate Training Camp. I want us
Yeah.
to like get back in that vibe of all the things that we learned and kind of the almost transformation where that even started for you of your life.
Yeah, that was such a cool camp, right? I mean, I still to this day talk about it. Just it was one of those rare experiences where it's physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, like every box, is checked and you're tested. And I met people like you and some incredible people through it. But I also feel like, one of the biggest kind of core things I took away from that experience was like my worth is not tied to my performance, you know? That is, I think, something, especially for high achievers and people that want to be great, it's really easy to tie your worth to your performance. If I perform well and I do good, whether that's on the court, on the field, in the classroom, then I'm enough, right? Then I'm worthy of acceptance or love or whatever it is. And it was like the first time I started separating that for me and was like, I am still a whole human and I'm fully enough, regardless of if I play my best game or literally go 0 for 20 from the field and don't hit a single free throw? And so, yeah, that was a very like turning point for me and kind of separating those two things.
And I think that's so crucial for a lot of people, but especially like athletes, right? We
Hmm.
are so tied as athletes and former athletes, even it's more probably more former athletes than anything, but your identity is wrapped up so much in being an athlete.
Yeah.
So for athletes who are still competing, right, it's learning that you are worthy of love, you're worthy of everything, regardless of how you perform, right?
Yeah.
You're still a person, you're still worth loving, all that stuff. As former athletes, it's learning that I'm no longer an athlete and that's okay. I
Right.
can find athletic things to do. I can still, but I'm still worth something. I'm not like all of a sudden not worth anything. So talk
Yeah.
to me about how you kind of have worked that after kind of being an athlete, then you were a coach, then you kind of got out of coaching and to
Hmm.
where you are now.
Right. Well, I think that when I coached, I definitely tried to carry those lessons into coaching for my players and like reiterated to them that what you just said, like your performance today does not determine your value as a person, and like I think it was easier. It's always easier to teach and coach than it is to live it, right? And so I think I was able to hopefully help my girl start to see the difference there. And like you said, like, no, like you're still so loved, like you're still enough, whether you have your best game today or your worst. And I think for me as a coach, it was like learning how to communicate that message while holding them to a high standard. Like, that doesn't mean it's okay if we don't play hard or don't have good games. Like, that's not okay. We don't want to lose, but it doesn't mean you're any less, right? Because of it. And but then, like my second round of being challenged in this came when I stepped back into the corporate world. I stopped coaching and I stepped into a new arena, and I kind of carried those same mindsets of like, I got to prove myself. I got to earn it. I got to show my manager or my boss that like I can do this and I'm good enough, and I got to prove. And I got to the point where it just burnt me out, to be honest. Like, I just kept trying so hard from a place of like, I need to prove myself, instead of, again, being like, D, you're enough. You're capable of this job and, everything that you're doing. Sorry if that was just came through. My bad.
You're good.
But, you're capable of being great in this role, and you don't have to prove anything. Like, they already thought you were great because they hired you. Now just go be who you are. Go do go do that. It took time, like learning how to apply that to life, because the thing is, they say like things will just circle back until we're ready to like heal them and address them and overcome things. And I feel like it circled back for me again, in my corporate job. And then eventually I feel like I really started to kind of break free from that mindset of needing to live to please or earn approval from anyone. And then I quit my job and started a whole new path. So, for me, it was such a process, but, it's led me to where I am today. I work for myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I started my own business. I'm writing my first book, but I had to work through all those, like, am I enough things, and really believe that in order to do what I'm doing today.
Yeah, I always struggled with. I didn't struggle, but like I like to always tell my players when I get mad at them, I'm like, I'm not mad at you. Like you
Yeah.
as the person, I'm not mad at you
Right.
and your actions that you just did that weren't what I know you're good enough to do. That's what I'm pissed about. That's why I'm
Yeah.
yelling at you. And again, I'm not yelling at you because I don't love you or I don't care about you. I'm doing that because I do love you and I do care
Right.
about you and I know that you're better than what you did. So
Yeah.
like that's why I'm holding you to a high standard. And one thing that helped me as well is always telling my players after a practice, whether we had the best practice ever, a mediocre practice, or like I guess average of what we expect to have, and then a terrible practice. I always
Yeah.
told them I love you. Like, cause I did. I'm
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't be out here spending all this time with you. I wouldn't be taking a job that doesn't pay very well if I didn't want to be here. If
Yeah.
I didn't want to like make sure that you're better. So I think that's a crucial thing for athletes to learn is that coaches are rarely ever mad at the person. They're mad at what you just did because they know that you're better than that. And that's
Yeah.
why they're upset. So that was like
Absolutely.
one thing I always thought was cool and or that I try to do. The other thing I like that you talk about is that things keep coming back around until we work through them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want you to kind of touch on that of like, what are some things that maybe you use to help work through, not necessarily self-worth that would be like helpful, but anything else that maybe has kind of came up where you were like,
Mhm.
this helped me work through something that I did in the past that now I'm better at because of it.
Mhm. I think the more you grow in self awareness and the more you take time to reflect, like internally, I think it's easy to just like go through life. You got your busy schedule, you're doing life, and it's like you got to slow down, and take time to kind of get to know yourself. Be like, why do I do what I do? Or why does this keep coming up for me? Start to ask questions, start to dig a little. Maybe even work with a coach, like, not necessarily I mean, it could be potentially like your sport coach, but like a different type of coach, a mindset coach, or just a mentor, someone that's lived longer than you. Like, that's been huge for me too. It's like, if I, for example, like perfectionism is hard for me, right? Control, like I want to make sure everything's right and it's got to be perfect, and like, how do you let go? How do you let go of these things and know like when is it enough? And it's like, I worked with coaches, I did internal reflection, I did journaling, I started meditating. Like, all of these things are going to help you turn inward and get to the root. Because that's the key, is like, where is this really coming from? And you don't have to find all of the answers, but if you start to become aware of like, oh, wait, I'm doing it again. okay, let me choose a different action in this moment. Let me think differently in this moment. And sometimes it's that simple. It's like, oh, shoot, I'm worrying again about that. Or, oh, shoot, I'm letting my perfectionism get the best of me. Or, and sometimes, like I said, you need some help, right? Some external help. But I think really I just like, yeah, just start to self reflect, and you'll be probably amazed at what you start to discover.
I think it's funny that you like listed off all these things, right? You didn't reinvent the wheel right there. You talked
No.
about the things that everybody knows though, right? Like it's not rocket, everybody knows it, which is great. It's just we have to choose to do it, right? We
Yeah.
actually have to put
Hmm.
them into action. It's like a lot of things in life of performance. We know what we're supposed to be doing. It's the challenge of are we actually going to do it? And when we choose to actually do it is when we see results. And
Yes.
until you do them, it's going to be hard to see those results. And I think that's a crucial piece of like telling people you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do something crazy in order to find some of these answers. You just have to do the work.
Yeah. Really like Olympians, right? Even like Kobe Bryant comes to mind. There's a book, I think about it's either Kobe or MJ that's so good. I'll have to share it with you. Just talking about the work that those types of athletes do off the court that make them the player you see on the court. And everyone that is a high caliber athlete is doing this other work. They're not just that they are amazing, they are gifted, but they're doing the other work of like working through their mental struggles, understanding themselves and why they respond the way they do or why they get hung up on things, and like working through like emotional things that may be holding them down or weighing them down, right? And it's like I think that's the next level. Like if you're like, what's the next level, like in anything you do, I'd be like, turn inward, get to know yourself better, understand the blocks that are stopping you, and then everything else you do, your performance, whether it's like physically or just in the workplace, is going to improve. It's a hack.
Yeah, they do the unrequired work, right? They do the work that nobody else will talk about, nobody else will do, and they're
Yeah.
willing to put that work in to make sure that they are getting to that next level. And I think it's important that you talked about how they would do a lot of the things that people talk about, but those people wouldn't be willing to do. And then they also put themselves in situations that would stress them or put them in an emotional state so they knew how they would react so that when the game time came, they already know, all right, this is how I normally react, but this is how I want to react. So I can
Yeah.
pattern interrupt that, right? I
Hmm.
don't
Yeah.
keep going down the same path of getting frustrated, getting upset. They could actually know, well, in this moment, this is how I normally react. But because I've put myself through these reps, I've done the unrequired work, I can
Yeah.
actually now do the stuff I want to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's easier, right? It's easier in the moment to make that different choice or to choose a different path, like you said. Actually, in my book, I talk about this concept of like how beliefs or like thought patterns are created in us. And it's like imagine a snow covered mountain and you're walking down this path on a snow covered mountain. And if you walk that same path enough, it's going to be right, it'll be bare and it'll be easy to walk. And that's how we develop a thought pattern, right? We do it, we think it over and over and over. And so imagine if you're trying to change that thought or change that belief, it's like you got to dig up the snow and you got to start walking down a new path. And like that's going to feel hard. You're going to feel resistance. But the more you do it, you'll find the path clears, right? And so, like, when you start to try to make changes in your life, resistance is a good thing. Resistance means it's working, you're doing the right thing, right? But I think that visual has always helped me. Like, of course, it's easy to keep doing it this way. This is how I've always done it. Well, I'm shoveling a new path, but in time, it's going to be easy this way too.
I love that you say that because when I talk with my clients, I'm always like, our negative thought process is like, usually when it starts, it's usually like a dirt road, right? Because we've done
Yeah.
it so many times. So it's it's easy to get down there. There's still some like difficulties, but our positive side is more of the like it's like a wooded tree area, right? There's
Mm,
like some trees in the way. There's not really a path. We kind of have to make our own path. But the
yeah.
more we just chop down trees, the more we get it going, the more we keep developing that, then we're able to turn that into the autobahn, right? We want to turn that into the autobahn where we can go 100 miles an hour down positivity and we turn the
Yeah.
forest to the negative side. And I think I love that you said that because it's like the same exact idea, but it's the choosing to actually do it because it's hard. It is
Hmm.
so hard because it's one, we're naturally inclined, as you probably
Yeah.
know, to be negative. Like we are currently that way to stay comfortable, stay in our shell,
Yeah.
not to push ourselves, because that's how survival happens. Like you stay comfortable, you survive.
Yeah.
So I love that you talked about doing that, because that's how I talk about with positive and negative thoughts of, if you have a negative thought, now we have to do 5 reps of positivity. So use your I am statements, use the different tools that we've talked about to get you down and start repaving the positive path as opposed to the negative path.
Yeah, so good. I love our visual analogies. We're tracking.
Hey, it's the athlete. We have to be able to see it. We have to be able to do
Yeah.
it right. Not
Yeah,
the
exactly.
listening part's not as good for me. So,
Definitely not. I'm a very visual learner. I'm with you.
but so you talk about identity and authenticity a lot.
Hmm.
Why do you think that high performers struggle so much to be their true selves, even when they're
Mm.
winning at high levels?
Mm. That's a loaded question. That's a really good question. Let me think about that a second because I think that's such a good question and it is really hard, for athletes to be authentic even if they are competing at a high level. I mean, I'm literally just athletes, high level athletes are coming to mind like Michael Phelps, Simone Biles, you know, people who achieved crazy success but kind of had these breakdowns, right? And I think, when you set standards for yourself, really high standards for yourself, or other people set really high standards for you, it's so hard to be real and show any type of weakness or just say, you know what, maybe I need a break from this right now. I think there's this pressure of like, I have to keep showing up, I have to keep winning, I have to, and for me, like on the other side of my athletic journey, authenticity looked like more balance. It looked like saying, I'm tired today and I do need a break. And I am pushing it past my limits and learning how to create boundaries and have limits for myself. Previously, it was like, you know how it is. It's like, you're tired, do 2 more reps. Like, that's the athlete mindset. And it's great. Like, it makes you successful, but I also think it can sometimes then like put this blanket over authenticity and be like, well, I can't maybe be fully how I want to be or be fully authentic because I have to keep showing up and I have to keep winning and I have to keep doing good. And even just me saying it, I'm like, that's exhausting. Like, that sounds exhausting, And the beautiful thing I've started to uncover about authenticity is just like living life honestly, And I don't think it's easy. I don't even know if I would have figured it out fully as an athlete. Like, how do you really show up authentically all the time while still competing at a high level? I think it's a hard journey, but I've found that like the more I live authentically, the more free I feel, the more at peace I am, the more joy I have. And if anything, it's made me more productive, more successful, It's just you have to be willing, you have to give it a try. You have to be willing to trust that and say, you know what, choosing authenticity isn't going to sacrifice my performance. If anything, it's going to help. It's going to help me be the best me and perform at my best self.
Yeah, I liked where you talked about, by putting up boundaries, you are more authentically you, right?
Yeah.
You're able to actually be that. And I think that's where athletes, high performers, whether it's in sport or business, that's where it's learning that threshold of like, is this a boundary that is pushing my comfort zone to make me better? Or is this a boundary where I'm overloading myself and I'm going above and beyond, like in a bad
Yeah.
way?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that when you talk about Simone Biles, right? In the Olympics, she just walked off the stage, right?
Yep. Yep.
Talk about having good boundaries of like, I literally can't do this. One, because she could possibly die with the crazy
Right.
things that she does,
Right.
but I'm mentally just not here. It's not going to be me. You're not going to see the best version of me. So I'm just going to say no. And I
Yeah.
think the word no, we're really good at saying when it's something we truly don't care about, don't want to do. But if there's something where it's like there's an expectation of,
Yes.
a friend asked me to go do this, my family
Mhm.
asked me to do that, to say no feels like I can't say no because that's me being mean, and not, and then, but then again, you're not being authentically you, or
Yeah.
not truly being yourself, and also leaning into who you are and what you need in that moment.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I feel like I was the world's worst at I don't want to say that, or I'm afraid to say that because what if they get upset, or or what if they're mad? What if they're disappointed? It was so hard for me. It was so hard for me to say no. And now I'm like, I love to say no. I'm like, nope, that crosses my boundary. Nope, can't do that. Nope, I have this. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still hard. Like I still have times where it can be hard to show up authentically and be like, this is actually what I need right now. And I'm going to make that clear to this person or make that decision that's best for me. But you're going to find if you start to do it, if you be brave, this takes courage. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. I talk a lot about this in my book. It takes courage to do this. It takes courage to say no, to say, you know what? Here's the thing though. Here's the thing is like, if you know why you're doing it, like I'm so strong in my no now because I have a vision for where I want my life to be. I have a vision for my career and my relationship and just these different things in my life. And so if I'm doing something that doesn't align with that and I need to cut it or I need to say no, that's not hard for me anymore because I'm very clear on what I want and I'm very clear on where I'm headed, right? I think when you're not as clear, then you're just going to say yes to everything, right? Or you're going to stretch yourself too thin. And I think the more you're really clear on, your vision, but also just your values, like what's important to you, then it's going to be easier to create a boundary or to put yourself in the places you need to be and to walk away from the places that you don't need to be anymore.
I think that's crucial of like knowing who you are and the
Yeah,
values in in that vision. I think that's really crucial. I want to point out to everyone listening of like knowing that helps you set those boundaries, right? It's like that navigation system of like, this is where I am in. If that doesn't fit in this box
yeah,
for me,
yeah,
then it's probably going to be a no. That doesn't mean it's always a no, right? You don't have to be black and white of like, if it doesn't fit in the box, it's a no. But then you have to weigh your options of like, does this fit who I am? Does this fit who I want to be and the things I'm all about? If not, then like, let's just say no. And that's okay.
yeah,
And again, if the people care about you and they actually really care about you, they'll be okay if you
yeah,
say no.
yeah,
They'll
yeah.
still love you.
They will. They will. And if they don't, it's like, that showed you
Yeah.
enough about that person. And you kind of, and that's a good thing too. Sometimes you need to see those things as well. So yeah, definitely spot on with what you just said.
Yeah. Sometimes friends are seasonal friends. They're
For
there for the
sure.
season to help you through. They're there to make sure that you learn from that time and everything. And then there's sometimes it's time to move on from those certain friendships or move on to bigger friendships, or I guess whatever the next level of that friendship looks like. If they're not willing to level up with you, then maybe it's not worth that. It doesn't mean you don't care about them. It means that you can still be great people together, but just not going to be a close person in your circle, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's something that I think you start to realize, especially as you get older too. And like you start to, I mean, people are busy and stuff. We all know that we get busy, we have our own lives, but you really start to realize how important it is to like have your circle. And it may be small. I mean, honestly, like I think I've gotten further in life having a smaller circle than I ever did having a larger one. And, I think it's so important. It is important to have one too. Like you need those people in your corner and the people that will go through that journey with you no matter what phase you're in. But it's okay if it changes for sure.
Yeah, my mentor Ben Newman says small circles create big damage. Of like a boxer, you keep punching the ribs over and over again, they're eventually going to break if you keep hitting the same spot. Like a
That's
small
right.
circle is going to create bigger damage. You're going to be able to get farther in life because they truly believe and understand the vision of what you're doing and what you guys are doing together, possibly. So I think that's so crucial. I want to dive into the book. So
Let's
it's
do
called
it.
Take the Leap, correct?
Take the leap. Yeah, take the
When is it
leap.
dropping?
September 23rd, it'll be on Amazon, which is so crazy and cool.
September 23rd on
Yeah.
Amazon. Take the
Yeah.
leap. Everybody should get it. But what was the message that was burning inside of you that like made you say, I have to write this so I can get this message out there?
I love that because it really was that way. It was like, well, I'm going to back up and just say too, I've always wanted to write a book, and it's been a dream of mine for many years. I made an attempt like 8 years ago and wrote tons of words and never did anything with it. So when I circled back this time to write this book, I had an idea of maybe what I wanted to write about, but when I got still and really just tuned in to what I felt my heart was saying, this was the message. And it was like, is this the message I really have to share in my first book? Like it's vulnerable. It's not the easiest message to share, but it was like, this is the message. And it's just live with courage. Like, don't hold back being who you are, living the life you want to live. If you feel you're not, take the leap. Like, go for it. And my life is transformed from being brave, embracing myself fully, and literally taking the leap and going for it in life and saying, I'm not going to let fear stop me. I'm not going to let people's opinions stop me from being who I want to be or living the life I want to live. And because of that, I found more joy. I found more freedom or contentment, within myself than I've ever had. And I realized on the other side of my leap that I went through this process. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I made a decision and boom, it happened. It was taking a leap really as a process. And I was like, you know what? I think I have a book here. I think I want to write a guide for someone that wants to take their own leap in life, or who just wants to live more fearlessly and not play it safe. And it's like, so that's how this came about. Take the Leap came from literally me doing this in my life, not just once, but multiple times. Because here's the thing, it's like once you take one leap, you're going to be like, oh, you know what? I can't settle in these. I have to keep doing it. You're like, I have to fully live authentically in every area of my life. And so I've taken a handful of leaps. I took a leap with my identity and coming out. And then I took a leap in my career and leaving a really stable job where I was making good money to start my own business and write books and speak. And it was all really, really scary stuff that I'm living. I'm literally living it as I'm, talking about it. But I've learned so much, and I was like, I've got to share. I've got to share this because I think there's other people that are holding back out of fear or afraid of, is this going to really work, or can I really do this? And it's like, let's do it. Let's find that courage, and I want to help you. I want to help you get there.
That's amazing. I love it. I can't wait. I will be buying it. I'm part of the launch team because
That's right. You are on the
I'll
VIP
take
launch team.
yeah, I'll take everybody behind the scenes of, we did this before and my computer messed up. So that was on me. So we're having to do it a second take, but it's even better than the first one. I'll let
That's
you guys
right.
know
That's
that.
right.
So, but take us back to the hardest part. I mean, I don't know how
Mm.
many of my listeners have ever written a book, but take us back to the hardest part about writing the book. Like, what did you learn about yourself through the process? Was there like external things that were a problem? Was there just like internal things you were working through? Was it just the writing piece in general? Talk us through that.
So looking back now, it's funny. I tell people, I'm like, the writing was the easiest part, which not everyone may agree with. I do love to write. Like, I would say I'm a writer, so I enjoyed that part of it. But even to start writing, I made the decision to leave my job because I said, you know what? I want to give myself the time to really do this. And I knew, I was like, if I have the time in my day, and don't get me wrong, I had a lot of planning on the front end of this so that I could make this happen, but it was still a scary leap. But that was kind of the first challenge, was just like, how do I find the time to actually do this? I was waking up at 6 a.m. before my 9 to 5, and I was starting to write. And I reached a point where I was like, I think I could knock this out in like less than 2 months if I just had time to write. And so I did that. And I wrote the book in 7 weeks, and at least the first draft. It's seen lots of drafts since then. But that was like challenge one, was just creating the space to write and actually giving myself the time to, actually make the book happen. I knew, I was like, if I can get a rough draft down, and I can do this, is what I kept telling myself. I was like, if you can get a start, middle, and end, you can make this into a book. But honestly, I just told someone yesterday, actual coaching client of mine, I said, doing anything, putting a project into the world, whether it's a book, whether it's a business, whatever it is, a creative work, it's a deeply spiritual process if you allow it to be. And what I mean by that is it's going to really test and challenge you. It's going to pull out a lot of your insecurities, and it's going to pull out your weaknesses. I mentioned earlier, like the perfectionist in me, it's got to be just right. I got some indecisiveness sometimes that comes out, and there's a lot of decisions with writing a book that I had no clue about. There's so many decisions. And so it's so easy to get caught in those old thought patterns and ways of thinking of like, well, maybe if I just spend a little bit more time on this, it'll be perfect. But it's like, if you keep spending time on this, it's never going to get out into the world. And if you go back and forth on this decision one more time, like, you're going to go crazy. It's like, if you really want to do the thing you said you want to do, you have to overcome these things. So like, I'm actively overcoming my perfectionism and overcoming this indecisiveness and even just the fear of like, I think the deepest fear I had to overcome is what if this doesn't work? Like, what if I can't do it? What if I fail? And all of that's going to come to the surface. And it's like you can either face it and you can work through it and you can be brave, or you can not do it. You can just say, I tried. And that wasn't an option for me. I said, I'm going to do this. So I say all that to say, if you're doing anything like this in life, don't be surprised if it changes you. Like the process will transform you if you let it. And I can confidently and happily say I'm a different person now than I was when I started writing my book. I've had to step into so much surrender, just and trust also that like this isn't just on me, that there is, whether it's God or just divine love like guiding you. Like I've felt that I've been supported through this journey and known that like I'm not been doing this alone. And that's, you have to kind of trust that, or you can, as well. And so many things. I talk about a lot of this in my book, but so if you like
So you
this,
gotta get it.
you'll
You gotta
enjoy
get
it.
it.
You'll enjoy
Yeah.
it. But yeah, like very challenging, very
That was
challenging in the
perfect.
best
Yeah.
ways.
No, that's
Yeah.
perfect. I mean, more reason to get the book, right? Like you're
Yeah.
talking through some of it now, but you're wanting people to, if you want to get the deep dive, if you want to learn
Yeah.
more of how to authentically and intentionally be yourself,
Yeah.
take the leap and get the book, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that,
Exactly.
like how I did
I
that.
love that. I
All
love how
right.
you did
So
that.
the one thing, if I want to, before, I know you've dropped some like notes here and there of like what's in the book, but if there
Yeah.
was like one takeaway without spoiling everything, but if
Mm-hmm.
there's one takeaway that you were like, I really want someone to be able to connect with this or learn this or be able to see this in
Mm,
themselves, like
yeah.
what would that one thing be from the book?
So I outline in the book what I call the LEAP method. So LEAP is an acronym in the book, and I'm not going to tell you anymore. You got to go read it if you want to know. But within the LEAP method, one of L is listen to your heart. And for me, I talk about the heart as this place where it's this gateway of like, again, whether no matter what you believe, whether it's God, whether it's the universe, whether it's love, it's like your heart isn't just this like place where I feel like the heart gets a bad rep sometimes, but the heart is a really powerful place where you connect to yourself, your most authentic self, where you connect to God, where you connect to truth, to love. And I found that when I tune into my heart and when I learn to listen and trust myself, I find what's best for my life. I find the path that's right for me. And I think so many people live disconnected from themselves and they don't trust themselves. They don't trust their intuition to guide them or to lead them in life. And I really hope this book helps people reconnect to themselves, to their authentic self, their heart, their truth, to love, so that they can then create the life that's best for them. I think when we live heart first, not head first, we create really beautiful, abundant lives. And yeah, I've been someone who lives in my head a lot, live in my thoughts, and I can overanalyze and be critical. But I feel I'm creating such a beautiful life learning how to live heart first. And I really hope this book helps people do that.
I love that. I love it. It's going to be an amazing book. I already know it, so I'm not worried about people getting that. They will
Yeah,
get it, and I'm
yeah.
speaking it into existence now.
Thank you. Thank you.
The one thing I want to leave us with, I know you've dropped so much advice, so much of things that you've learned. But if there
Hmm.
was like one piece of advice to maybe tell yourself, like D Money
Hmm.
back when we met or even before we met, that you'd want to tell yourself about life, mindset, overcoming adversity, whatever it is, what would that be? And maybe sharing it with the audience.
What immediately came to mind, honestly, was you're safe to be who you are. You're enough just as you are. And don't hold back. Like, don't hold back, being who you want to be or living the life you want to live. I think even if I would have told myself that back then, I still would have had to figure out what that looked like. But I just wish I could have just looked at me and said, look, you're enough. Like stop second guessing yourself or just what you feel, in your heart, and just be who you are. Like you're enough. Be who you are and it's okay. And you're so loved. And I wish I could have given myself the biggest hug and just told myself that. And I don't know, if that hits anyone a certain way, but I think that's a message we can give to ourselves. If that's the message we needed maybe when we were younger, we can give it to ourselves now. And I found that when I do, it really helps me just be more free and live really as the person I want to be.
Well, I think that's a mic drop, or best way to end it, of just be yourself, right? Love yourself. You are worthy of everything, and there's nothing that can take that away from you.
Yeah,
So I appreciate it, D Money. Like we said, September 23rd,
that's right.
take the leap.
Take the
Get
leap.
the book. It'll be on Amazon. I'll make sure I put it down below after this so you guys can go find it and easily get to it. So that way you guys can take the leap with Danielle of
Yeah.
getting a better, more authentic version of you.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I love it. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks for tuning in to Leading the Pack. I hope you learned from Danielle, from D Money, however you want to say it, that from her story, that being authentically you is the best version of you at the end of the day. That is the best version of you. So I'll have her information down in the description if you'd like to contact her for coaching, bringing her in as a speaker to help your organization, or if you want to buy her book, which I hope you do. We'll have the information for Amazon in the description below. So don't forget to like, leave a review, subscribe so you don't miss out on anything, and share this podcast with somebody who's also ready to level up, lead their pack, but also be authentically them. Super blessed to have people like D Money around me. So got more lined up, and we're going to keep bringing them to you to help you become the alpha of your life. Until next time, stay hungry, keep leading your pack. Now go attack the work.